When we start talking about how businesses make decisions, one of the most important things that we need to understand is that business decisions occur in two different time frames. One of those time frames is referred to as the short run, and the other is referred to as the long run. Now, there's no well-defined period of time that sets the long run apart from the short run. What does set them apart, however, is the ability of the firm to change the way they produce things. In the short run, we have what are referred to as fixed inputs or fixed costs, or something that is fixed, something that simply can't be changed in a short period of time. The long run occurs when anything in the production process can be changed, including where you produce your things, what country you produce in, what physical location you produce your goods in, whether you have to build a new factory, whether you can sign a new lease, whether you can sign some sort of new contract that allows you to change the way you do production. That's considered to be the long run. When we look at production per se, what we're looking at is something that's referred to as the production function. The production function simply tells us how we take inputs and turn them into outputs. There are a variety of different kinds of production functions, and just about every firm has their own process of doing this. But the most basic production function, sometimes referred to as the classical production function, says that a firm is going to have some labor, and it's going to have some capital, and it's going to mix those things together in some fashion to produce some amount of output. Usually we refer to the capital as being the fixed input in the short run, meaning that you have a certain amount of machinery, you have a certain factory capacity, and you can't change that very easily. You can change your labor force. You can hire or fire people somewhat easily, and so labor becomes your variable input. The question is, how do we combine these things to produce some amount of output? The other question is, how much of each output do you want? That brings us to another concept known as marginal physical product. Marginal physical product talks about how a firm takes its variable inputs and combines it to produce a certain amount of output. So how much additional output is contributed from an additional variable input? That's marginal physical product. Put mathematically, if we take a change in total product and divide it by the change in the variable input, that gives us our marginal physical product. That can lead a firm to some difficulty. Let's say you build houses and you're out there with a hammer and you're hammering away and you're building houses and you're doing fabulously well. Consider the hammer to be fixed and your labor as variable. If you want to increase the amount of houses that you build, you can easily hire more workers, but you may not be able to easily find more capital. And so think about it this way. Let's say you add another worker, so you have two people working on the house, but only one hammer. Or if you add a third worker, still with only one hammer to go between the three of you, what you'll find very quickly is that that additional variable input doesn't contribute a whole lot to the total output because people end up fighting over the capital. They're not able to increase the amount of capital that they have, hence their output as a whole isn't going to increase very rapidly. This is sometimes referred to as the law of diminishing marginal returns. The law of diminishing marginal returns simply says that as you add more and more of a variable input to a fixed input, the returns, the benefits, if you will, from that variable input go down. And they may even become negative at some point. When it comes to hiring someone, you want to pay very close attention to how much they contribute. You want to pay very close attention to whether or not they're adding to total output or whether their contributions are causing total output to fall. Now, the concept of diminishing marginal returns is only valid in the short run. Because in the long run, you can change everything. So you don't have that problem of the fixed inputs and the variable inputs being put together. Everything can be changed. You can go out and buy more hammers, or you can build another factory. In the long run, the problem of diminishing marginal returns goes away entirely.